See if it's working today.
I bet it was YouTube.
I don't know.
Yesterday.
It's working right now. Let's increase this to 3,000. Seems okay so far. Why is the CPU so intense right now?
Oh, that's you.
As always, Seth. Fuck that, that's taking too long. God damn, I can't get a break. Yeah. Yep, that's fine. Just, what you got me yesterday, just get 2 of them. Yep. Alright, bye. Okay. This is gonna be a quick video. I've got some more stuff to do today, but I'm just testing to see if this can keep up. As of right now, it seems like it's doing alright. The live stream section down here is showing that it's in the yellow, even though Open Board View says it's in the green, but who fucking cares, I guess. So this phone, we worked on it a second ago, but the it's an S4 that randomly turns itself off and on, and I thought it was the power button, and I checked the power button and it seemed okay, and then I kept messing with it and it finally started acting normal. I thought maybe that something that I was plugging in or something was causing it, and I unplugged everything and it seemed okay, like it wasn't turning itself on automatically, which it shouldn't do. It shouldn't turn itself on without you prompting it. What's up, Zach? Michael Overdick, you are an amateur. You do not use iTunes for Galaxy. Everyone knows that. So no one uses iTunes for Galaxy phones. God, so stupid. But I'm gonna see if it's still self-booting. If it is, I'm gonna measure the power button to see if maybe it shorted itself internally and it's telling the phone to boot. If it's not, I have to see what's going on with it. So on the Galaxies, I'm just gonna take my leads here and hook them up. So the positive's on the outside rail and the negative is this third one here. So I'm going to apply power. Okay, so the phone is still self-booting. So I'm going to start unplugging stuff one by one and see if it continues to self-boot. Okay, it's still self-booting. Still self-booting. Still self-booting. Okay, so with everything unplugged, it's still booting itself up. So I'm going to assume that it's probably something to do with the power button. But earlier when I checked it, it was fine, which is what's weird. So you can test the back side of the power button here. It's got 2 pads that are ground and then 1 pad that's the output. So you're taking a voltage line. Okay, so see the power button right now is showing short. Let's see if I turn off the power if it's still showing short. Okay, so there we go. So my assumptions were correct. So the power button right now, let's see, make sure still. Yeah, so the power button is sticking itself on, which is what I thought it was doing earlier. But when I tested it, about to go live in case hell. Michael Overdick, you need to go live with some cases coming to my doorstep. That's what you need to be coming live with. Go live with them cases. Micah, can you grab an S4 board in the back that has those buttons on it?
Ooh. Got a whole bunch of them at Fleeling.
I know. You know the buttons?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've taken these apart before and cleaned them out. If we can't find one, I'll just do that, but I'd rather just find another button and swap it over. I'm going to put some low melt on here. 20,000 pieces. This happened to my Nexus 5 a few weeks ago. Replaced all good. Yeah, this is pretty common. I've seen quite a few Galaxies like this. They just get, over time from pressing the button, it builds up like this metallic powder, I guess, where you're drawing current through it and then you're shorting it to ground. It kind of just over time degrades the metal, and it causes a powder to kind of form up inside of the connector. And that powder itself is conductive because it's just metal fragments. And what ends up happening is they build up to the point where it doesn't matter if it's connected or not. The metal powder is forming that connection for it. And I've taken, like I said, I've taken these buttons apart. They're a little tricky. They're not terrible, but they're a little bit of a trick to get open without destroying them, which is easy to do. I've broken quite a few of them too. So
This is an S3, but I think it should be the same button.
let me see. Yep, it is. So I'm just gonna heat this low melt up until it's all melted enough that I can pull this button off. It seems like it's close. Yeah, here it comes. Alright, so it's off. We'll clean that up. You'll be back in an hour or two. Okay, TCRS. Always just leaving. You just come in, you wreck our hearts, and then you leave. What do I do with my braid? Braid. Everybody doing okay as far as stream goes? I've had 300 drop frames, so any loading or buffering or anything? Let's see here. Let's clean these out. We need some flux here. I'm not sure what problems I was having yesterday with streaming. I don't know if it was a connection to YouTube issue or if it was a issue with my ISP or what, but yesterday every time I would start a stream it would start out in the green at what it's doing now, where it's got like 3,000 kilobyte stream going on, and then all of a sudden it would just drop to 0 for no reason and then shut the stream down, and then it would speed way back up to like 6,000 kilobits a second, like max my upload speed out, and then it would drop back to 0 again. It was really annoying. I'm not sure what was causing it. Seems like on my end, the upload never seems to go on, like on open board view, or open board view, open broadcaster. The connection on my side never tends to go below green, unless I'm like downloading something. Sometimes it'll drop to yellow, but most of the time it doesn't. But for some reason on YouTube's end, it tells me that my stream is in the yellow and that it's not keeping up, even though everything else points to saying it is. So I don't know. I looked through the forums yesterday while it was really giving me problems, and I couldn't find anything that specifically fit what I was looking for. Several people said to make sure that your firewall and stuff wasn't blocking it. I turned all that off and it still wasn't doing anything. This leg's driving me nuts. It won't clean out. So let's add some leaded solder into this until it can't take any more. Alright, that should be thoroughly mixed. There we go. Finally. Finally it has happened to me. So let's clean up our pad here. Make it look all pretty. That way when they take their S4 in for warranty repair, haha, wink wink, they can't tell. Alright, so we got a S3 here with the same port on it. I'm going to take it off with hot air. I meant to stream earlier, but I didn't even think about it. We had a MacBook Air that we picked up off a customer that took it to the Apple store across the street, and they told her that it was bad motherboard, that it would need a new motherboard end. Greaseman, is there a situation in where you want to be banned, or is that an accident? Choices, make them. So I'm just going to heat this up slowly. You should be able to get this off without melting the plastic. A lot of people wonder how you take these off. The plastic on these is reinforced fiberglass plastic, so it can take a fair amount of heat. I mean, you have to understand that these things aren't hand soldered. These are soldered by a oven that just is hot enough to melt the solder. So the plastic has to be able to handle some heat. So if you heat it gently, it'll come off without fucking it up. Just like so. So we'll go ahead and set it in place on the board, and we'll go ahead and tack it down. I'm going to use lead-free solder on this just because this has some mechanical strength in the solder, and I found that after some research that the lead-free mechanically is harder than the leaded, so it should do a better job of holding these in place. I use leaded for most of it, but in situations where I feel like there is mechanical strength needed, I will use lead-free. Okay. Let's just melt from the bottom. You can see it pulls the solder up through it. I use my larger tip now. Dropped more frames. Okay. I'll see if I can turn the bitrate up a little more and see if that helps it or not. I don't know if it'll do any good or not. It may make it worse, who knows. We'll find out. Here we go. Alright, so I don't, it's not even maxing out the bitrate on my upload speed, so I feel like I'm plenty high on the bitrate, but like I've got it set to 3200 kilobytes a second and it doesn't go over 2800, so I don't fucking get it. I don't understand how you calculate it, and like if Open Broadcaster says that it's not in the yellow or the red, it's in the green. I don't understand how YouTube is not getting the same conclusion as to the bitrate that I'm supplying, but alright, so make sure this still clicks. So let's check it now. So when you press the button, let's see if it's connected. Alright, so these two are not connected. When we press the button, it connects them. So we don't have any connection right now. Now if we hook this up to the DC power supply, I shouldn't have auto boot anymore. It should be waiting for prompt from the button. By auto boot I mean that the phone automatically turns on without button press.
Hey there.
Alright, so let's put this back together. So now that I've replaced this button, we're not getting an auto boot anymore. The phone isn't booting up without a button press now. So let's see if it stays that way, because it did this earlier after I checked the button, but it went back to it again. And I'll probably see if I can open this up. Let me remember where they separate. They separate on one of the sides. I think it may be the back. Yeah, it's the back. So if I clean the solder off here, there's a split here that you can unwrap this and take that apart. But actually that button feels internally fucked. Like I can't press it very easily. Yeah, it sticks. Like you can actually see where it's sticking. So fuck that. Not worried about it. So let's hook all this up. I'll hook up my leads here, and then we'll show that it's not auto booting anymore. So turn power on. The phone is not doing anything right now. So if we prompt it with the power button here, I'll go ahead and prompt it. There you go. So now it's turning on. So S4, it should boot all the way up. Beforehand, what it was doing is it would, as soon as you plugged in power, it would go to the S4 logo, and then it would immediately turn the power off, and it wouldn't get to the Samsung logo, and then the phone wouldn't boot. It would just sit there until the battery died. So we'll wait. That's the AT&T logo. It's pretty washed out, so it's hard to see. So there we go. It's up and working. If we press the power button, turns the screen off, press it, turns it back on. So fairly simple repair. It says we have 91% battery off the DC power supply. Now we're at 90%. But let's see how far we have to go up to get 100. Tonight it doesn't have any direct response from it, probably because there's no data line to it. But anyway, so phone's working, power button's not stuck. It's a really simple fix, very common with the S4 series and some of the other notes and stuff. Those style buttons over time just build up a like a metal powder inside of them from where you're shorting power to ground through the button, and just over time that builds up and it'll cause the button to stay constantly on. Later today I've got several iPhones to do. I have one here that was sent as a Touch IC, no power. I don't know how they said it was Touch IC because she was having troubles before. They can be cleaned, Lynn, but you have to take them apart. And most of the time taking them apart, you'll either mess them up or they just don't fit right the same way. You can buy strips of those buttons. I used to have some, but I ran out because we just stopped seeing them as much. But you can buy strips of those buttons for like $5. They don't cost very much, and you get like 10 of them for $5. I just scavenged this off an S3 board since it uses the same switch. But that's pretty much all there is to it. There's not a whole lot to that repair. It's just watching your heat, find out what temperatures work for you to remove buttons without destroying them, and you should be good to go. Same issue. I first tried deoxidizer, but it didn't work. Replaced it's the way to go. Yeah, I've tried cleaning them before by just like scrubbing the outside, hoping that it'll get inside of it, but usually doesn't work out very well. In most situations, like I said before, I had the buttons, I took them apart. It's possible to open them. There's a I can't remember if it's one or two pieces. It's a concave metal piece, just like all the other buttons, and they sit in there and they have two contacts on the outside and a contact in the center, and then when you press it, it just flattens it out and touches the center to the outside edges. The problem is, over time, from where you have 3 volts running through the center point and then ground on the outside, when it collapses where it touches in the center and on the edges, it causes like just a very fine, you'll see it if you ever open one, it's like a blackish gray powder that builds up on the leads, and you clean that off and kind of scrub the pad a little bit, and then they'll work again. You can do the same thing with any of those, even the iPhone buttons that have the dome on them. If you're really hard up on it and need to, you can clean them. In most situations, it's not very expensive to buy the buttons, so easier just to replace it than to fix it at that point. More time effective, I guess. But if you're in your crunch, you can definitely clean them out.
Delivery.
Hey.
It's not DiGiorno.
No. Anyway, guys, I'll be back on a little later. I'm gonna eat some lunch.
Sorry.
Everybody's here yelling.
Oh, I forgot my.
But I'll see you all in a little bit. I will be back with more repairs. I'm glad stream's working at least. See you guys.
One of your phones real quick, 'cause